Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to Mix Training. This is Better Mix. This guy here. Hey everyone. How you doing? How are you guys? Welcome to another Mix Training live stream. Yay! Let's see what's the chat. Where's everyone? Nobody here yet. Alright, so today we have a really nice topic. Let's just gonna wait a few minutes for everyone else to get here. And then we can start with the show. And today we're gonna talk about AOVs, which is cool. It's something that it's really nice to know. Hello everyone, hello Node Nest, hello MES, Sergey-san, hello everyone. Really glad to see you guys here. And I think this is gonna be a really nice topic to explore today. How I can't speak. How you guys been doing? How's your week? My week's been really busy. As most of the time my weeks are really busy, which is good, I guess. I think it's a good thing. Will I be answering questions? Sure. Go ahead, Juan Camilo. Ask your questions. If you have any, go ahead and ask them. Rakib Khan, hello. So today we're going to talk about AOVs, which is something that it's a little bit weird in Houdini, but it's really nice. You're going to see why it is the way it is in Houdini. Hey, Kamaur. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Kamar, you're new to Houdini? Welcome to Houdini. Welcome to the channel. Welcome, Kamar. Really glad you're here. Juan Camilo, just ask your question, dude. Just ask it. Don't just... Nodeness, there's a beta for 16.5? I don't know anything about that. Juan Camilo, so what's the issue, Camilo? I don't know how to help you if you don't tell me what the issue is. Hey CT, sup man? Thank you for sharing the fire video. I can show you the link really quickly. Fire effects. So here's the link for the training. Alrighty, so let's start doing stuff because there's already questions. So there we go. There's the magical fire effects training, which you guys can still buy. It's really amazing stuff. If you want to see how I work, how I do a project from start to finish, get that thing. It shows you everything. Alright, so 16.5, that's cool. Basic seed setup using subsolver. Subsolver is the same solver as it was before in 16. So let's start with that. Let's do, what can I do with a subsolver? Do some noise. Let's create a sphere. So this is gonna be just a simple setup of subsolver that is Juan Camilo is asking about. It's gonna add a bunch of polygons to this. So let's see, let's add a subsolver. Solver. I'm guessing this is what you're trying to do, Camilo. So let's do a mountain here. And let's just do a little bit, not too much. Height 0.1, 0.3 maybe. Now if you go back and play this, it's gonna start doing more noise every time. We can even, oh, my viewport, I think it's failing today. Yeah, it's failing. Weird. It wasn't failing. What? But now it's failing. That is weird. And let's see what I got here. I'm using the large. Yeah, that was working. I think they broke it again. Alright. So let me move my window because it's not the right size. I think it's around there. Okay. Inside a subnetwork there's a subsolver. Now I'm not sure what we're talking about. This is the subsolver. There's a subsolver in DOPS. Yes. Here there's a subsolver here. But again, it's basically the same thing, because if you see this, go inside here, you can see here it's actually the thing that it's actually happening here is actually a subsolver. There, subsolver is the same thing basically. It's the same thing. It's just an HDA encapsulated there. So yeah, it's basically the same thing. So my freaking viewport, it's failing. I'm gonna restore Houdini. Sorry guys, let me just restore really quickly because this is gonna give me issues. Let me just set the correct. I don't know why this is broken. It was fixed a few versions ago, but since I keep up with the latest Houdini versions, I installed the latest and now it's broken, which is terrible. And I will report this if it's actually a bug. Let me change this to preferences. Sorry, just really quickly because this is gonna be hell if I don't do it. And then just restart Houdini. Alrighty. So there we go. Houdini's up there. Now I changed my face to this side. So because most of the time I'm covering this window here. So I changed my face to that side to see if this is a safer place. So let's talk. Let's start looking into AOVs, or how in Houdini they are called image planes. So let's just create a mantra node. And when you create a mantra node, and we're just gonna talk about mantra today. We're gonna stick with mantra, no other renderers today, just mantra for today. So in mantra here, if you go to the extra image planes, mantra calls that image planes. That is where you get your depth pass, your velocity passes, passes for each light, etc. And you can see there's a bunch of them preset here that you can export here, like the shading position, the shading, the C depth, the shading normal, combined lighting, direct lighting, indirect lighting, combined emission, etc., etc., etc. So this is the basic ones, and some people get stuck in this in Houdini because it is a little bit different than other applications. Because in other applications you're used to just say, all right, I'm gonna create an AOV or an extra image plane, and then you're used to just have everything here. And you do have some stuff here. Let me put this panel in the other side here, so you can see this is the same enter node. I just moved it to this side, and if you click here, you have different passes like your color, opacity, alpha, position seed. There's a bunch of stuff here. The list goes off the screen by a lot, actually. So there's some basic ones that you can get, but most people are missing some stuff. So let's try to set up some basic stuff here. So let's create a scene, and we're gonna create, of course, my friend Roberto. Hello everyone, this is Roberto, and now the zooming in is not failing on me. Let's create a camera here, and let's just let's do what, a grid, I guess, just so we have a reference point. Then move Roberto a little bit higher and frame the camera back again. Let's make this a little bit bigger, and let's copy some Robertos to have a different, to do some different things. Or maybe instead of copying Roberto, I'm gonna create different geometry. Let's create a torus, and I'm gonna move this guy back over there behind Roberto. Maybe rotate it, whatever. It's not really that important. And that's gonna be it. Let's call this floor, and let's call this donut, and let's put the donut, I want it to be on this side. Yeah, there, whatever, it's cool. So now we need some materials for this, and I'm gonna save this scene, of course. Procedural, no, where am I? LearnDay here. AOVs, I'm gonna call this AOVs live. Alright, so let's see, let's create some shaders. I'm gonna use the principal shader. Boy, it's been a while since I used Houdini shaders. I'm gonna call this torus again, same thing, or donut material, and I'm just gonna drag it, duplicate it. It's gonna be the floor material, and that's gonna be it, because the Roberto already has a shader. But let's create another one just in case we need it. Roberto, delete that one on the end. So let's apply this to the floor. Let's make it something distinctive, because we need to see what's gonna happen. Maybe that's too ugly. And let's put this donut material, let's make it pink salmon. Alright, so now we have that. We have some shaders, we have the donut. We're gonna make this render subdivisions, and let's start rendering this thingy. The camera is correct. So let's start rendering this too. Let's render it here to the render view, and half resolution render. So okay, we're gonna have a render, and we have no passes at all. Right now we're just gonna have the default pass, which is just gonna be color. And if we have already some passes by default with Houdini. We have the color pass, we have operator ID, which you can see can be used in compositing. This ID is per object, so this and this have the different ID. If we press I here, for the inspection or the information, you can see there's that number 27 there below the square. That's the number. This has 1001 and this has 104. So this can be used to split objects actually in some kind of way, but the colors are the numbers are really big, but you can map them and separate objects. It's kind of like a material ID in other applications. Could be used. Primitive ID is gonna assign again one primitive per any ID, so you can see we have every primitive has an ID. So this passes. These two lower ones are basically for I think Houdini uses those for just the debugging stuff, but you could leverage the operation ID stuff to do some cool stuff. All right, so but what we're interested in is creating our own stuff. So let's start clicking boxes here in the Mantra node. Again, the extra image planes. Let's click a few of these. The P, you can see position is the world position of the objects. You can see the information tells you exactly the position in world space. And some people use this in compositing again to do weird effects and or compositing effects. The PC is the depth, what we know as a depth or a C depth. So that's how you can get that stuff there. The shading normal, it's used sometimes for compositors. Use this to relight geometry compositing sometimes. So that's how you can get your normal pass. Your combined lighting, we don't have lights right now, so let's see what we add. So you can see just by checking that combined lighting by component per component gives you the diffuse channel. You can see that's just diffuse, no specular or anything. Reflection, you can see there's some reflection there. Give you the code. This one has a code in the shader. Gives you the refraction, which there's no refractions right now. Gives you volumes, but there's no volumes. Give you the SSS, but it doesn't give you that there. I mean, there's no SSS right now in the scene. But yeah, just clicking this guy is gonna give you all that stuff. So let me create some lights here. So before we continue, let me just create some. What can I create? Just distant lights, whatever. It's just gonna be simple stuff. Distant light, and one from the back. Distant light. So let's go to camera view, and it's gonna be ugly, of course. Super ugly. So let's just tweak this a little bit so they aren't as ugly and everybody is gonna hate me. This is gonna be a little bit lower intensity. So we have some. Did I make the first yellow? Yeah, alright. And the back one's gonna be maybe higher intensity. Not so high. Let's see which one. This guy, I'm just getting some really basic lighting here really fast, just so we can have some fun. Let's make this a little bit more blue. Exaggerate the bluiness on this blue light. Alright, whatever, that's just some lighting that we have there. So now if we go, that's important, because if we go to this section here, direct lighting per component, let's see what we get now. Let me uncheck this, guys, because it's gonna be a mess. So let's just get this one. So now we have direct diffuse. We have direct reflect. You can see that's just the direct reflection. The code, refraction, there's no refraction, volume, and SSS, there's none of those. But now the indirect is gonna give you the bounces of light, since I think there's none here. All right, so there's no. The one I wanted to show you here, we don't have emission. Direct on shadow, I don't really know. Oh, alright, so it gives you the geometry without shadows, which is pretty cool. No shadow, direct no shadow. Direct example, etc., which is really nice. There's a few other ones here, SSS, etc. Subsurface. But let's go back. Let's go down here to where you can select input vex variables. So now the first one, let me move this guy because it's not gonna be seen by you. Let me move this guy over to this side instead of this. The color, it's gonna give you just CF, which is basically the same thing as the C, which is default you get. The opacity, it's gonna give you the opacity if there's some things that are opaque, or you can get a matte channel with this if you need a separate map channel. And the alpha position is basically, some of these repeat from here, so some of these presets are already here as well. But let's go back, let's go down actually, and there's one that I really like, and there's one there, it's called combined lighting per light. So now you can see this is called all, and what it gives me is distant light 1, and you can see that's the light 1 here, distant light 1. It's gonna give me just the lighting of that light. So it's basically giving me a pass per light, which is pretty cool, and it's really useful for illuminating scenes in compositing or tweaking shading in compositing. You can see now we have, for each light it's gonna give me a pass, which is really nice. So there's a bunch of them here. You can go and experiment with this and try to get what you need from this. Let's see, there's the only one that it's per light. Yes, but there's a bunch of other options here. Let's say we just want to have the color, or let's say, yeah, the color. But you can select, you can call this pass whatever you want here in this channel. The vector type or float type means, vector type basically means, is this a color? Yes, okay, well, it's 3 channels, contains color. If you make it float, it's just gonna give you grayscale, because floats is just 1 channel, right? And actually it's giving us issues there. So it's important to match your variable with the correct type of data that you have. The other thing you can do here is just name it. Let's say it's gonna be the color, and it's gonna export as that. You can see now it's called color. Or like this is one that I always rename, the PC. I always call it depth because, or C depth, because people get confused, like, where's my seeded pass? And here it is. That's just, I just call it something different because people get confused. So there's no actually difference there. So there you can see the PC parameters set some other parameters here, and the PC, it's important that it's a 32-bit float for more precise more precision in compositing. And it also gave it some pixel filters, which we're not gonna get into today because this is basic, but the filters are useful sometimes to filter some types of data like PC or motion blur. I use the closest surface one, closest sample, to filter the data there. The light exports, again, you can export again for any kind of pass. You can export different lights. You can see export variable for each light, and now we have a distant light PC depth, which doesn't make any sense, I think, because I don't think it's gonna look different. But for some other aspects, like let's say the direct lighting, let's say, then you have direct lighting and make it export for each light. If you want to do that, you can see that's basically what we were doing with the other option, like exporting different lights there. All right, and you can add another one and export some other passes, like any other application. You can export the PC here, and let's say I want another one, and then I can export the normals and another one, and I want to export the combined pair lighting, which is gonna generate different ones. You can see the preset has export for each light, or you can actually set which lights you want here. By default, it's just every light, and there you go. There's a bunch of different passes now, but we're gonna start looking into custom passes. And cool VFX, it's saying UV maps. Yes, we can do that. Cool. How to set up limits in PC. Houdini doesn't have that here set up, but basically the min and max, it's kind of a limit. You can see if we go to the PC, it's gonna give you you can see the value there under the square is the PC value there, and it goes from about 3 here to 23, 25, something like that. But if you don't do this min-max filtering, it's gonna give you different values. You can see now it's the same, but what I usually do with this, I don't limit my passes here, because that will be actually I will be losing data here. Instead of just doing this here, you can do it in compositing, just grading the information in compositing. You can limit it there. I think that's better instead of doing it here in the render directly, Alexander. So I think you should just render raw your passes and then limit it in compositing, because if you need the data back, there's no way to go back. And that's why we have EXR, because we can have all that data there. Alright, so, but this is not over. This is just one part of this, right? Hadrian is saying, which passes are important for compositing? The ones you need. And I think that's the worst thing you are expecting to hear, but that's exactly the right answer. The passes that you need are the good ones for compositing, and don't fall into the trap of getting a lot of passes just because you've seen like documentaries or videos that they have a bunch of passes. You will know what passes you need when you composite stuff. So maybe sometimes I don't even do passes a lot. For my own work, I rarely do passes. So it's just about what you need, not how much passes can you get, Adrian. So some people just stick to the basics, like the shadow, the CDEP, and the motion blur, and that's it. Some don't even do that. Like for my personal stuff, I don't even do passes most of the time, so mostly just the motion blur sometimes, but if it's not too heavy, I just do it directly. So let's start doing some more fun stuff, or more Houdini stuff. So now let's say that we have something. Let's go for the donut, or let's say, yeah, let's go for the donut. Should we go for the donut? I don't know. Let's go for the floor, because it's just gonna be maybe a bit more understandable. So let's go to the floor, and let's say that I want to, let's set up another camera so we can see what's gonna happen here exactly. Let's select new camera. I'm gonna set this camera up here. Let's say I have some parameters in Houdini, like, I don't know, UVs. Let's do UV project. UV project, it's gonna be, let's say we have UVs there now. Roberto has UVs as well. I forgot about that, but Roberto has UVs. Okay, so now we have that UV property here. You can see that's the UV property. So could we export the UVs to a path? Sure, why not? So let's go to the material. We need to do some stuff in the material. Let's unblock the material that allow editing of content. Let's go in. You can see when you unlock it, there's this lock that's open, and there's also like a shadow here, so you know this is open. Now let's go in, and there's a bunch of stuff here, but we can just ignore everything. Actually, let's go somewhere else, somewhere clean. We don't need any of those nodes, and let's just put a bind. And the bind, it's gonna import an attribute. In this case, it's gonna be the UV, and the UV is a vector. It has 3 values. You can see here, if we middle click on this, you can see the value is 3 floats there. So we open this here, you can see here says UV 3 floats. So it's a vector which contains 3 floats, 3 float values, right? So we need to get the right kind of the right type of the attribute. So now we have the bind. The bind, we can do a bind export to export this property, and we can call it, let's call this surface. We could call it UVs, but I'm just gonna do it like that and just connect this there, and it's gonna override the type with the input here, so we shouldn't worry about this. Or let's see if Houdini gives us that. So the name is surface, and this is a really important thing. The name here is gonna be the name you need to put here. So let's just delete all the extra ones we had there. Let's just keep one, and let's put that name surface, which is gonna be stupid because surface is a common name. Let's call this my UVs, and you need to have this name exactly with caps and all here, exactly the same name, and you need to have exactly the same type here. And I don't want to export for each light. Now we have that. Now if we render, let me save this. This is behaving weird. If we render, we should have a pass there. It's called my UVs. You can see it there. If we go there, now you can see this is exporting the UV data on the floor there. Looks weird, but it should be okay if we did everything right. It's a vector, yes. I don't want that. So we could do the same. Now that we have this, let's say I have this my UVs variable here, we can even just copy these nodes and say I want to export that thing as well for Roberto. We can do 2 things. We could go to the Roberto material and put those nodes there, or we can assign the same shader to Roberto. So there's some people just create a utility shader, and then it starts assigning that to everything that you're gonna want to export that thing. Hey Paniruro, hey Grant, what's up, man? What's up? So this looks weird, but it should be alright. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me check if maybe I need to say 32-bit maybe, because UVs are 32-bit. Let me render from the top camera and see if it how it's looking. We created a camera from the top to see this working, and there it's rendering. So there we go. That looks like data, but yeah, I know what's happening. The red channel, that's the UVs, that's the U, that's the B, and the blue channel, it's being populated, which we don't need. We could remove the blue channel just to see it exactly as you expect the UV pass to look. So let's say vector to float, just to split this, and do another. Let me stop this because it's rendering. Float to vector, and just connect this, and the third value is gonna be 0. So now we render this. So this means just that we are gonna have the blue channel is gonna be black. So we see the UV channel as we expect it to be. Like, this is the color channel. Let's go to the UV. Oh, wrong button. You can see now this is what you expect to see in the UV channel. Green and red combined together like that. You can see that now the blue channel is just passing nothing because I left the blue hanging here. Like, I want to play. No, I want to play. No. So that's the UV channel. Cool VFX. That's how you can export the UVs. Again, we could do this. Maybe make another material from scratch, like a material builder, and say this is gonna be my UVs shader. And if this is the only thing you're gonna do here, you don't even need any of these things here, just those values there. And I can assign this shader to my other objects, like let's say to Roberto. But Roberto has a shader included, so let's make sure to turn that off. Don't use that. And let's render from camera 1. And if everything is alright, it should be working for both objects. And Roberto seems to be black. Weird. Let's see what happened here. Roberto has, yes. I'm not happy. The material UVs. But it should be working. I don't know why it's not working with Roberto. Let's test it with the floor. Let's see if I'm lying or not. UVs. Oh, so something's wrong with my setup. What's wrong with my setup? My UVs, and this is called my UVs. Yes. Weird. This is UV data. Oh, this is weird. Are we using the right material here? I think I am. Material builder. I don't know what's happening. Weird. Should be working. Maybe I'm doing something stupid here, but this should work. Well, alright, it doesn't want to work right now, so let's just keep it to... Oh, I could even just do it outside of here. Could I? Could I do it like this? Let's see if I can just export this guy. Let's see if this works. I don't know why this is not working. It's weird. Should work. Let's see if I select my bind. No, that works. It's just weird. Let's go to the Roberto and select that one. Now you can see that's the UVs for Roberto. And let's see, the donut doesn't have any UVs, I think. So, no, doesn't have UVs. So there's the UV pass for everyone that it needs the UV pass. Yay! Let me see if there's any questions. What does all the color detail means for my UVs? For your UVs, this color, basically the red channel is your position in the U It's the U position of the texture, and the green channel is the B position, basically X and Y on your texture. So that's why you're exporting. And some people use this to retexture render images in compositing. That's why you will export a UV channel, a UV pass. That's why you will need that. That means that the W channel are a displacement. The W channel, it's not a displacement. The W channel, it's the I think what's the W channel? I don't remember. Is it the rotation? I think the W channel, it's the rotation of the texture, or the angle of it. I think I'm wrong. I don't remember correctly, but no, the displacement is totally different thing. It doesn't have to be. It's not related completely with the UVs. It is related with the positions and all stuff, but displacement, it's another thing. Okay, so that's one attribute we can export. We can export any attribute. Let's say I have a custom attribute that I want. Maybe the compositor wants me to have a gradient on Roberto from bottom to top, and he wants a red gradient because why? I don't know. He's really cool and he knows what he's doing, basically. So let's create a color, and let's make a ramp from attribute, and let's make it where bounding box Y doesn't work. Position Y. Sometimes I wish these parameters work here. PY, no, no P works. Always get confused if I need that freaking add symbol there or not. So now we're not being happy here. One, no. Okay, so let's just do this before here. Attribute create. Let's create a, let's call it ramp, and we're gonna base this on the position Y. Now the bounding box Y, and let's put this ramp parameter here, ramp. So now we have a ramp there. You can see it's black at the bottom, but the compositor wants it red. So let's make it red, and maybe he wants them. I don't know. He wants to compose something like this, and he needs this because he is the compositor. He needs that. So all right. So hey Marco, sorry I didn't say hi to you. Okay, so let's say the capacitor wants this, and this is in the color channel, but we can pass it to another attribute because maybe the compositor wants also the natural color of Roberto, which maybe, let's say it's gonna be this nice blue color that Roberto has, like that. So instead of having two colors clashing here, we can just say, okay, this attribute here, I'm gonna promote it, attribute promote, and promote it to something. No, not promoted. Yeah, we can promote. We could just promote it. Ramp, no, not the ramp. The color. The color. We could actually just export the ramp, but we modify the color here, so we need to export that color. Let's change this. Just we're gonna pass it from point to point, and just gonna call this ramping, whatever. So now we have a ramping attribute. Is it gonna let me? No. So let's just copy the attribute somewhere else. Attribute. Let's use the attribute create again. I want it to be fancy, but I couldn't because I suck. Attribute create. I'm gonna create a new attribute. I was thinking that the promoted it's gonna let me do it, but no. So I'm gonna create an attribute. Let's call it ramp page. It's stupid, but it's I'm gonna base it off CD. So now it's gonna just copy the data of CD here. You can see. Let's hide everything, and let's just put CD and rampage, and you can see it's gonna have the same. Oh, this is a flow. Let's put it a vector. We need the right colors there. You can see the right colors are exactly the same, but now what we can do is just recolor Roberto or change the colors to the default colors that we that you need there, but we still have that attribute there. Now let's go to the material for Roberto. Let's use this material. Let's unblock it. And we need to do the same thing exactly. Let's put the same notes I copied before, but we just change the name. So this is important again. The attribute name here needs to be exactly the same type. And let's just don't use these guys because we need the full color. And let's call this Roberto ramp. And again, it's not gonna it's gonna be overridden. So let's grab that name and let's go here and export that as well here. Roberto ramp, it's a vector type, yes. Now if we go to the render view and render, we have some Roberto doesn't have the it doesn't have the right material. Let's assign the material. That's really important. So let's assign this material, and I also want to here actually export the UVs here. So I just paste the notes again, importing the UVs and exporting the my UVs parameter there. So let's see what happened here. My UVs are there. Are they? Let's keep rendering Roberto. Yes. Now the Roberto ramp seems like it's not working. Let's see what happened there. Rampage, it's a vector, and Roberto ramp, it's exported there. Let's delete these nodes. And it's cool that these things happen because I can show you guys how to debug stuff. And where do I go? Because when people get stuck, there's always like questions and they don't know where to go. So let's see what happened with Roberto. We have the rampage attribute. Yes, there it is. It should be working. We have it. 3 floats. Yes, it's right. Let's go to the material and say rampage is a vector. Yes, and Roberto ramp, it's a, let's put it to vector. Let's see. I think no, it is 0 to 1. Yeah, it's not going outside of that. So let's see what happened. Again, let's re-render. Something's been rendered. Let's see here. Oh man, what's happening? It's failing on me. Anyone knows what's happening? Because we should have a ramp here, and we're not having enough fun with this ramp. No, weird. Let's see if there's some questions. Oh, a lot of Italian guys. Cool. Interpolation linear. Thank you, man. Thank you for your comment. Thank you. Thank you, Pernudo. Thank you. So let's give it another try to this. Let's see what's happening. We are importing the rampage attribute. Maybe I have an issue here in the attribute. We're passing the color. Yes, whatever. It's weird. It should work. Export always. Roberto ramp. That's weird. Rampage vector type. I don't know what's happening. This is weird because it should be working. All right. Well, that's the idea. And it should be working. I have no idea why it's not working for me. My AOVs, Roberto ramp. Weird. Marco, you can't just oh, I know what I did. Attribute create. I just created a value in one spot. Stupid. This should be CD red, green. Yeah, sorry, CD CD red, green, and blue. Yeah, that was my mistake. Sorry. Thank you, Marco. Thank you for that. Noticing that issue. Now it should work. Let's render this again. Let's render it again. Yeah, all the channels were just not getting the right properties, but it's still not working. It's weird, but CDR, CD, red, green, blue. I'm not sure then, but only the green channel, only the red channel has data, so it should have worked actually. I'm not sure. This is weird. Should be working because the material is assigned. And okay, well, now I look like an idiot, right? This guy is correct and that guy is correct. Now I don't know what's the deal here. Re-render. Weird. It's weird because it should be working. Should be working. All right. So whatever. That's the way you can do it. You can see it worked for the UVs, and for some reason it's not working for my other attribute, but it should be working for any kind of attribute. I'm not sure what I did. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I did just something weird. But it should be working. Okay. Not sure. I'm intrigued why it didn't work, but it should work. Roberto ramp. Weird. Alright. It's weird, but it should have worked. Not sure why it's not working. Okay, so that's how you pass stuff when it works. Maybe Roberto is overriding something. Let's try one more thing. Let's promote the rampage attribute to vertex, because it might be the reason why it's not working. We promoted to vertex attribute there. It's not a point attribute now, and let's see if we get it. Let's render. Let's render my AOVs and Roberto ramp. It's not working, not even as a vertex attribute, which is weird. Alright, no, I don't know what's happening. I give up. I don't know what's happening there. Okay. We can try to export some other attributes and see if that's let's try to export the normals, and that should let's put a bind, maybe because I just dropped the nodes. Let me stop this and bind export. I'm gonna export the normals, and I'm gonna call this normals, and this is a vector as well. Maybe this should be a color. Let's try with a color, and this is the normal, and let's add another attribute here and call it normals, and it's a vector type. Yes, let's render now, and there's some issues. So yes, there's some issues here. I don't know why. In normals, that shader, it's giving us issues actually. I don't know why. It might be the shader that's broken. Sometimes these things happen. Sometimes shaders just don't want to play. Let's see if I choose the other shader and re-render. Now it's broken. We broke it. It's saying that something is wrong here. Oh, it's already being used. The normals are already being used somewhere else, so you can't export. Let's try to export this from here, because I'm not gonna sleep well if I don't do this. Let's try to export it outside of the shader here, and this might be a bug if it's if it works. Roberto ramp, there we go. You can see the ramp works here, and everything it's doing the right thing, but for some reason that I'm gonna report, inside the shader you're not able to export this, which is weird. You should be able to export whatever parameter you want, but now outside of here you can export that that ramp from here, which now I can sleep well. And I'm not going crazy. This is the way to do it. I was just I don't know, this might be a bug in this version of Houdini, and I'm gonna report this bug, because this should be working. This should be working as it's working right now. Alright, so as we did here, you can export any parameter you want. Anything you want to export, you can export it as a pass. So the last thing I'm gonna do here is let's create something that we can. Are there any questions, guys, just before we wrap this up? Let's create a material ID kind of a thingy. So let's add a property here to Roberto. Attribute create. Let's create material ID. Let's call it material ID, and let's make it a 3 floats, and we're gonna keep this the red attribute for the material ID, because I'm gonna make them different colors here. So for Roberto I'm gonna do that. For the floor I'm gonna create the material ID. Let's stop this, and I'm gonna make this blue. And for the torus here, the donut, I'm gonna make this green. So this is how you can export different objects in different channels. So let's go here. I'm gonna do it here because since it's failing in the other place, I'm gonna say material ID, and I'm gonna export it as well as material ID. So I'm gonna take this guy now, go here to I'm gonna just add another one, call it material ID. It's gonna be a vector type, yes. Now let's assign this shader here because we're doing it outside of here. Let's assign it to all these objects. Select all of them, assign that material ID thingy we just created, and let's go to the material, the color objects, the material ID. It's not working. Weird. Read only expression left. What I'm in. Read only expression. Come on. Material ID. Let's call this. I can't have the same name. Let's call it mat ID because it's getting confused with the two names here. Let's change it here. Mat ID. That was my issue there. So now we have called to the material ID pass. We should have this. There we go. So now whatever the objects are in this pass, we can separate them, the red objects, the green objects, and the blue objects, like that. And that's how you can create some of these passes in Houdini. If you have more objects, let's say let's say a pig head. What did I do? A pig. There's no pig. Test object. Test. Some weird things are happening here. Let's create a box. And let's say that I want my box to be there. And I want to add this to the blue objects. I just add this material ID here. Now if I render, now the box is going to be part of the blue objects here as soon as I assign the material, of course. There we go. Oh, I put it in the green. Red, green, and blue. So there we go. Now you can export different objects to different passes, and you can color correct them differently or anything you need in compositing. Now that's it. So are there any questions? Please ask any questions before we wrap this up for today. There's been a while since somebody posted something in the chat. Maybe we are offline, or everybody's gone, or something. So that's it. That's gonna be it for today, guys. My freaking camera is still giving me issues. I don't know why. I can see that it's lagging behind in my... Yeah, weird. Alright, are there any questions? Hey, look, I have the Houdini shirt. The history of the nodes and stuff, which is really nice. I started here, then went to here, actually here, and then here. I never used that. No questions then, eh? Okay. Alright. Alright. I think I'm a super teacher. There's never any questions. I'm so good. I'm just kidding. And I'm gonna have to do something about that freaking camera, which is just lagging. Always lagging. Camera lag. I think that's better. Oh, I think I just fixed it. Cool. Alright, everyone. Thank you for being here. I don't have shares to send. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, hey, Grant. That's amazing, Grant. Congrats, man. So cool. You got your first gig. Oh, that's amazing, man. Congrats. I'm happy to share my knowledge, guys. Alright, guys, so I'm gonna see you next week. Take care. Let's keep learning together. And I will see you next week. Right? Later. Weird faces while I find that freaking button. I found it, but this face is cool.